Welcome to the Business Spotlight. My name is Kay Cote, and I'm your host for today's episode. And today on the show, I have Nick Berger, owner of Cabinet IQ of McKinney, as my guest. We're going to be talking about his business, his journey to business ownership, best practices that he's learned, and challenges that he may have faced to give you that inside look to what it's like to run and operate a business. Welcome, Nick. It is so great to meet you. Thanks for being on the show today.
Yeah, great to meet you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, before we dive into all things business, I'd love to learn about you. So feel free to share a bit about yourself.
All right. Well, my history or my background is all in healthcare sales and working for large corporations, um, building revenue, building territories, building teams, ultimately making money for big corporations. And I think that's great for much of your life, but you hit a point where the skills that you learn from about yourself from those experiences in a large corporation really do prepare you or set you up to be able to run your own business, I feel. Um, in sales, it's all about top line revenue and making sure that you're generating business and networking and meeting customers and of course there's customer satisfaction and customer service. So if you can kind of package those things that you've learned and find a business that you're interested in, might not even be the same industry that you're familiar with, but those skills um, can be help you be successful in any industry. And so I'm trying to prove that to myself right now. I got out of healthcare after 20 years, and now I am a franchise owner of a kitchen remodel company. So we help design new kitchens or remodel kitchens for homeowners or general contractors. And um, there's some B2B where we're working with builders that haven't built the homes yet, and we can help design those and then supply the product and install, or homeowners that have been in a home for 20, 30 years and the home has doubled in equity over the past couple of years, just the way things have gone, and it's too expensive to sell and buy something else. Even if they have a lot of equity in their home, they can't take that money and go buy something twice as big. They're
Mm-hmm.
going to, if they are interested in selling, they're probably going to get a smaller house. Um, so downsizing right now is great, but if you're building your family or growing your family or need more space or just want to rejuvenate that area, instead of selling, you can use some of the equity to improve it. And that also improves the value of the home and increases equity even more. But then you get to take advantage of that. So I see that myself as a homeowner and the things that I've wanted to do. I have remodeled my own home. I've grown up building, fixing uh, forever. My dad's a general contractor. So this has been a really um comfortable, I guess you could say, transition into a different industry. But that's kind of where my background is just sales and corporate structure and efficiencies and trying to build teams. So now I get to try and do it on my own. And uh, as great as it sounds to do, and as much skill as you think you've developed in your experiences in other jobs, it is still extremely hard to get things off the ground. And you really have to have things dialed in and trust the process. Because me, just being a sales guy, I want things to happen now. I'm on a monthly quota, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
and that of course is a quarterly quota and then a yearly quota, and I'm driven by numbers. And if I'm not seeing those numbers as fast as I want them to be coming, then it gets really frustrating. And so when you're building something, you can't expect things to just happen overnight. You've got to have a realistic timeline of when you think you'll be able to, break even, turn a profit,
Mm-hmm.
exceed the income that you've been used to making, and then ultimately Are you going to stick around? And uh, and if not, then what's your exit strategy? So there's a lot of fun things to think about along the way, but in the beginning, it's extremely frustrating. Just trying to get all the pieces to start working together. You want a well-oiled machine, but that doesn't just happen. So cylinders are firing all over the place, and uh, that that's probably been the biggest struggle for me, and why I think having something like what you're doing is great, because it gives people realistic expectations of what might happen, and or what will
Hmm.
happen. If you can find another business where you can just jump in and immediately start making money, I mean, you found something very special. You probably shouldn't tell anybody about it. But
Oh, yeah.
that's that's my background and what I'm going through right now.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing this. This really helps me set the scene for our conversation today because there's so many parts of what you said that we're going to unpack, which is awesome. So now, before we kind of get really far into it, how many years have you been in business with with the franchise?
Well, this is a great time to have this conversation because I signed the paperwork 1 year ago, and I've been working to build a showroom out, a kitchen showroom with all the displays so that customers can come in and see, touch, feel. Um, and that has continued to just be delayed by city permitting, or we had a flood last week just from the rain, and some roofing issues with the landlord. So there's always going to be something that's going to make it, um, you know, speed bumps and make it a little bit harder. So I quit the healthcare job in April. So I've really only been doing this 100% for 3 months. Between September and October of last year, 2024,
Mm-hmm.
until April, I was trying to do both.
Oh, okay.
And and the job that I was in, uh, uh, if you're in healthcare, you probably understand what it is. If you haven't been in healthcare, it's kind of a job that most people don't know about. When you're a medical device rep for hips and knees, you're there in surgery every day,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have any control over your schedule. So if there's a surgery, your doc, the guys that you have formed relationships with over the years, depend on you to be there with the instrumentation and the implants and know-how to get everything going before they get there, and to make sure that the case goes smoothly, and ultimately there's um, a positive outcome with the patient, and we want them to be satisfied. So if all goes well, you keep your job and you keep continuing to do cases. But that just means that, again, you're not in control of your schedule. If you get called, you get to the hospital as soon as possible for a trauma like a hip fracture, or uh, elective cases are all throughout the day, starting at like 6 a.m. in the morning, and might end at 8 p.m. in the night, holidays, nights,
Mm.
weekends. So trying to transition out of that into building a company of my own was an extreme challenge. Um,
Yeah.
and the only way that I was able to do it, as smoothly, if you will, as I did, was just open communication with my colleagues and my management, and just making sure everybody understands I'm not going to a competitor. I'm not
Mm.
going to be a liability here. I will do everything I can to support my team and help backfill every role and responsibility I have in the team,
Mm-hmm.
um, when I can, and I will cover all the cases that are needed. I'm not going to leave anybody, high and dry. But at some point in the next year, I'm not going to be here. So let's do everything we can, to make sure that the team stays successful, docs are still happy, everybody's still getting taken care of, and I get the chance to go my own way. And
Yeah.
that was and then a lot of pieces have to fall into place, for that to happen without really, stuff hitting the fan. So
So
um,
true.
yeah, that was good.
So, okay. So now you're full-time in this. What's your ownership structure look like for your company? Is it just you right now, or do you have a team? And if so, how many team members do you have?
So I hired a full-time designer in January, and she's got 30 years of experience in project management and construction and designing kitchens. And me having similar understanding, I guess, not to the level that she has, but a little bit of an understanding of the whole process. I've helped build homes from the ground up. So I understand what goes into it and the frustrations that can happen and the delays and how those pieces all need to fit together to make it smooth. But she's got a lot more experience in that. So she's helped out, and we kind of tag team uh, any new customers if they call, try and come into the showroom. Um, Either one of us will have those customer interactions and get information out of the customers to see what it is that they're trying to improve in their home and if they have any inspiration. And then we put it into our software and build out, renderings for them, however many options that they want, just to see in 3D what their kitchen will look like when it's done. And then, of
Oh,
course, that goes into pricing and proposals and invoicing, and then scheduling everything out for demo and installation. We don't
okay.
build any of the cabinets.
Okay, so
So
you have like contractors that come in for that, or
no, um, so what I sell is considered prefabricated.
okay.
So instead of it being built on site with just raw materials, everything that we design is built in a factory. And there's multiple companies that I work with based on design and budget. There's some that are fully custom, like
Mm,
ridiculous, super expensive, made in Pennsylvania. Some are quicker to get, but they might come from Vietnam or something like that, and those are much less expensive, but still great quality. Just depends on what the budget is that the customer
yeah.
has. So on staffing, she helps me with that. We figure out exactly what the customers need. We build it, we order it, or not build it, but we build the quote, order it, and then when it's delivered, I have a 1099 team of installers. So not anybody that I hire full time, but it's per project. And that's budgeted into the cost of the project. So it's kind of a pass through from the customer uh, through me to the installer. So I can try and keep my overhead down. But
Mm,
as I grow, um, I'm keeping these guys very busy. So it's like they're working for me full time.
yeah.
Uh, um, and I spend quite a bit. I think you should spend quite a bit on marketing. So not necessarily hiring somebody full time, but you should spend a significant amount on per month on marketing, just making sure that people even know that you exist. Of course, it matters what your industry is and what your job is, but if you want a homeowner like me, if I want a homeowner to know that I'm there, I have to get in their face. And the best way to
Mm,
do that is just to rank high on Google. So you have to have your 5-star reviews. You've got to make sure that you're capitalizing on SEO and keyword searches, and make sure you're at the top of the list. So there's a significant amount of money to be put in monthly that you won't see a return on for 6 months.
okay. Now, do you have a 1099 team that you're working with, or how do you work with your marketing?
Marketing is just a company that does social media or SEO marketing. So it's two different companies that I'm working with right now.
Okay. Um, okay, I'm just taking a couple notes here. Uh, so when it comes to your role and the hats you wear, it sounds like you've got a lot going on. So what's kind of your biggest top two challenges that you're facing right now as the owner?
Um, Successful business people will tell you that you can't do anything, and it's not rocket science. You know that you can't do everything. You have to hire people to do their job. So you hire the right people, and ultimately you hope that they're smarter at that role than you are. And
Mm.
when you're starting your own business, you can't just hire everybody immediately. The overhead for that would be insane. You'd have to have a serious amount of capital to be able to do something like that. So if you're going to scale, um, I wouldn't say it's comfortable, but if you're going to scale as fast as possible, you got to do everything that you can and then implement those people one by one. Like
Mm.
I'm talking to a sales guy right now that I think would be perfect for this, but he needs $150,000.
Yeah.
I
Mm.
have I have so much overhead already. I don't know how to budget to bring that on, but it's like cart before the horse. Like, do you bring in the sales guy to bring in the revenue so that then they can get paid? If it's 100% commission job, then sure. So understanding all the different options for commission and compensation for these different roles is really important too, and understanding your margin on the product that you're selling, what the industry standard is, what homeowners are willing to pay, what homeowners are not willing to pay. All these formulas and equations, just trying to figure out that sweet spot of how you ultimately come out better
Yeah.
um, as soon as possible than you were before you started this job.
Nice. So that actually brings me to my next question. In terms of, especially like your budget, you mentioned, and understanding your margins, what currently are you doing to, because a lot of business owners struggle with this very thing. So I'd love to hear, what are you currently doing to either systemize that or like manage that?
There, I'm trying to find a better way to do it right now. Um, right now, I'm bending over backwards to get business. So
Mm.
there's leverage in in uh in experience and in um tenure, I guess. It's kind of the same thing as experience, but the longer I'm in this, the more of an expert that I am, the more confident I will be that I can charge a higher rate.
Mhm.
And for those customers that aren't willing or not able to pay for that, then that's fine. I'm not going to have my feelings hurt if they say I'm too expensive. But that's a
Mhm.
confidence that you only get over time.
Mhm.
In the beginning, you want to get every single dollar that you can. And if there's a customer that's getting a quote from somewhere else and they happen to be like $5,000 less or something like that, you might not be able to get to that point, but you're going to get as low as you can. I am getting as low as I can to get the business, get the reps, uh, going through the process, figuring out where the issues might come up, because they come up all the time.
Yeah.
Little things like missing something, or missing something on the drawing or the plan that might be needed, like a small piece of trim, but that came from a factory and it took a month to get there. If you need that extra piece, how many days or weeks is it going to take for you to get to that or get that to you? And then you're delaying the end of that job and you're stuck on it and you don't get paid until the end. So
Mhm.
that's another thing about cash flow. So with margins right now, early on, I am worried about it. I am thinking about it and trying to maximize it as much as possible without being ridiculous. But I will, I will bend over backwards for these customers to make sure that they're satisfied. It's in a reasonable price range. I'm still making something to help pay that overhead, but
Mm.
ultimately they're going to give me a 5-star review. They're going to refer me to their friends, and and that's just what I have to go through right now as I'm starting. Margin will continue to go up as I get these reps under my belt and just have more time in the industry.
Talking about customers and sales, how are you strategizing and organizing your leads and sales conversion? Is that something you're currently tracking? And if so, how, like, what are you seeing trending in there?
Trending. Well, I do use a CRM software um, that's been developed by the franchise. It was an existing CRM that they kind of modified for this industry, for this kitchen showroom sales pipeline. So there there are buckets for prospect and who's converting, who have you given a proposal to, who you're waiting for an approval on that, who you've sent an invoice to. And in this job, we're asking for a deposit up front or pay in full, which is ideal. But
Hmm.
this kind of helps break down how much they've paid and how much is still owed. Um, I'm still trying to utilize that, of course, to its full extent. But as you can see, this is my office, and it's hard to sit on a laptop in my car while I'm going from place to place and keep those things updated. So once the showroom's open and my office is there, I've got a desk and all that. That portion will be much more streamlined. But right now, it's kind of all in my Outlook calendar and in my brain. Um,
Hmm.
just making sure that I'm getting where I need to be when I need to be there, and uh, that's definitely something that needs to be focused on. Uh, Very important. Yeah.
And now I just want to like side note, when's your showroom set to be finished?
Well, I was supposed to have a grand opening on the 24th of July in a couple of weeks, but last week it flooded. So uh,
Mm,
landlord was replacing the roof and did it on a day, happened to rain. And so the new cabinets and the flooring that are in there, some of it got damaged. So now I've got to figure that out. I've got an insurance meeting today about that. And, as a business owner, this stuff unfortunately happens. You don't expect it, and it throws everything off. But I'll probably have to push the grand opening a month or two just to make sure everything's good. Um, Honestly, you got to keep seeing the positive in everything. I was pushing and pushing and pushing to try and make that July 24th deadline for a ribbon cutting and grand opening party, and now I have a little bit of breathing room and I can make sure everything's more dialed in than it would have been. So, got to be optimistic about everything.
for sure. Now, if you could choose, say, the first and most important thing you want to dial in before your grand opening or within this extra time frame, what would that be?
Invite more people to the party. I've made a lot of contacts, and because I've been pushing and pushing and pushing, just focusing on the showroom, but also on my installs and getting the renderings out to the new customers. I haven't done enough time doing personal invites and making sure that people know when the grand opening is. I've got a virtual assistant in the Philippines that
Mhm.
is working part time, but has a list of leads and general contractors that we already contacted 6 months ago. But
Mhm.
now we'll be able to call all of them again, text all of them, make sure that they're all aware of the showroom grand opening. And this just gives me a little bit more time to get more people to RSVP and
Yes.
uh, and just get the word out there.
Oh, wonderful, Nick. Well, I wish I could continue talking to you. I could talk to you for hours on this as you're in a really, it's like there's a lot, you're in that stage of business where it's like you see it in front of you and you are working to get there and you're going to make it happen. I'm so excited for your journey. Before we get into the wrap up of this conversation, I'd like to go into a fun part of our Q&A called our rapid fire Q&A, where I ask you four questions and you answer very top of mind.
Ah, sounds like the Gallup interview that I had to take for Med Device. All right, let's go.
All right. Question number one is, what is the key to success for you?
uh, Constant optimism.
Definitely.
Stuff's gonna happen. You gotta just break through it. Just keep going. Um, if you see the light at the end of the tunnel, you know that it's going to happen. You just got to keep going.
Yes. Yes, that's very true. Number two is, what is a piece of advice you have for other business owners?
Make sure that you have enough funding to do it. There's too
Mhm.
many issues that could happen that could just put you out of business immediately. So if you're not prepared financially to make this jump, then don't do it. You could
Mm,
ruin yourself.
that's really good advice. Very true. Number three is, it could be a book, a podcast, an article, just something that stood out to you that you've taken in recently.
I would love to say that I have time to read or listen to podcasts. I'll listen to yours for sure, but um, I've been so in the weeds with trying to get this going that I haven't
Mm,
had that chance to have those opportunities. So I'm not able to answer that one right now.
Appreciate the honesty. I can see the hustle and what you're working on. And the fourth question is, if you could wave a magic wand and improve one aspect of your business, what would it be?
Improve one aspect. That's gonna stump me too. So the only thing that makes everything better is more margin.
Hmm.
So if there's a way I can drive costs down and increase profitability, that's what I would do.
Mm,
That makes everything better.
that's very true. Well, thank you for answering the rapid fire questions. Let's help get the word out about your business. How can people connect with you and your company online?
CabinetIQ.com/McKinney, McKinney. I'm in North Texas. You can come see the showroom. And if you like what I've had to say, give me 5 stars on Google. Thank you.
I love that, of course. For our final question today, what is most inspiring to you today?
I what you said before we jumped on this call about why you're doing this. Um, when you're starting your own company, you do feel absolutely alone. You have you have coworkers, colleagues that everybody works with in a W-2 life and working for a big company, and you can rely on people and you go on PTO and know that somebody's got your back. But when you are doing your own thing, you are going out on a limb, trusting your gut and yourself and your own skills, and with nobody else to bail you out. And so having something like what you're doing, giving people some insight into how it happens is a tremendous value, I think, to people that are thinking about doing it or that are going through it, to know that other people are feeling the same pressures and going through the same struggles. And that right there is inspirational to me.
Well, thank you so much, Nick, for sharing that. And I couldn't agree more. That is very inspirational. Thank you for just being vulnerable, sharing your story, and being on the show today.
Yeah, thank you very much.